Cool. Hi guys, thanks for joining. Thanks, Exabytes, for having me. So as mentioned, I'm Johnny. I'm currently the lead UI UX in Carsome. I've been in the design industry for more than 15 years. So I work in a various industry, ranging from advertising to media studio to event management to fintech, and now currently involved in a startup scene. So uh, my career started as a graphic designer and then slowly transitioned to become a UI UX designer. And now I'm leading a team in Carsome to create all the ecosystem in the used car industry. So today my sharing will be about UI UX. So UI UX has been a buzzword around everywhere. So regardless in a startup or in corporate world or in tech or non-tech industry or companies. So the question is whether UI UX would make your business or would make your life better or not. So here's my sharing and here's my thought. So before we start, let's have a quick introduction about what is UI UX. So as everyone knows, UI means user interface. So user interface is a set of visual on a digital surface that control, that do settings, that configure to manage and perform a certain task or mission. So as you can see on the screen, one side is a software application where you can use to manipulate photos, edit photos, and do a lot of stuff with any kinds of photos. So on the other side is one of the most popular operating system on a mobile device. As you can see, there's a lot of application on the screen. So all of those are considered user interface. And what is user experience? So this is user experience. For the left side, you can see there is a pop-up that says error on the software. So that kind of message is actually affecting how the user behave, how the user feel about how the product being response or react or feedback to the actions that caused by the user. And on the other hand, that would be a message that you receive from your loved one, which you feel happy, you feel delightful, you feel love. So regardless how is the user interface is, it will affect every user's emotion, whether it's happy or is delight or sad or even very excited. Okay. Another explanation of UI UX is this one. So if you see, this is just a plain park where it's nicely paved with fresh greens and very undestructive view. But then again, it's not every user will like these settings. So a lot of users, they tend to hack their way or cheat their way to have the experience more suitable to them. So in this picture, as you can see, the user won't walk on the path on the pathway that is already been set. So they rather take a shortcut and walk through the green grass and to reach their point of destination. So that is basically explain what is UI and what is UX. Okay. So how did UI UX came all the way here? Previously, before UI UX become a buzzword, is actually come from web designer. So when the internet started, everyone's jumped into a bandwagon and create websites and having a lot of softwares, application, and everything in the tech industry to help their business, to help their life. So therefore, we need someone that can create a nice interface and to help develop the software. So therefore, there comes a title, it's called a web designer, to help create all the websites, create all the web application to make the business, to make the product more delightful. So as you can see here, this is the present Google homepage, and guess how it looks like back then, like more than 15, 20 years ago. So this is how it looks like. And if you notice, there are huge, tremendous changes in terms of UI and UX, where you can see the graphics is flat. There's less things. There's more focus on what the user, what the product or the business need user to do on their web page, right? And here is another example of one of the most popular operating system on computer. And as you can see, everything is shrink into icon size. And guess how it looks like say 20 years back. So back then, this operating system create the interface in a very high contrast visual, that everything needs to be explicitly explained what it is, like big buttons, high contrast, and also a less color because due to the technology availability at that time. So another one, this is a game interface where today the game is already reached to another level where there's a lot of bunch of device that integrate with the game experience to make it more fun and more entertained. So back then, this was how the interface of the game looks like. So it's a 8-bit mode, and all the sound is not that great and is less entertaining. But back then, this is something that every kid wants to play. So after you guys know about UI UX, so how do you make a business better, or you make a life better with UI UX? Only one question, only one answer that answer this question, which is, so just design interface on it. Now, everything comes with an interface, regardless your product, regardless your task, regardless your business, everything has an interface on it. If you look at it, literally practically everything has interface, like your fridge has an interface, your dishwasher has an interface, even your door knob also has an interface on it. And moreover, now during pandemic, everyone, they need a device to check temperature, check the every attendance, that whether they are healthy to get into the building or not. So all of those are integrated with device and slap an interface on it, right? And all this interface design, all this UI design, and also user experience design, not only change how a website works, not only change or evolve how a product should be, but it also change human behave, and also it change how the lifestyle change. So example, let's look at this. This is a photo of the 1970s where two women are shopping in a grocery shop. And until today, how the user interface and how the user experience has evolved and changed the behavior of human working on a certain activity. So here we have an online grocery shop where you can buy any grocery without even going to the physical shop. And moreover, now everything that you can do with on your mobile phone as well. Not only one single company adapt to this digitalization, but there are tons of all the big business that adapt to digitalization and having their own website and run e-commerce business. This one, if you are old enough, you know what this is. This is a VHS tape player, where back then we cannot have the luxury of browsing through different movies, skipping any scene, or even record screen or capture screen on the video. So practically one movie, one tape, and you can play it at one time. So to presence, by default, this is the choice of entertainment streaming for majority of everyone. And not only user interface and user experience change the way we consume entertainment, but also it defines how we choose what are the genre that we that we like, what are the behavior, what are the emotions that we have during browsing through all the millions of genres titles. So there are plenty of their offering online that until the point of everyone that are spoiled by choice. So there's another scene here where if you can guess what this is, this kind of behavior and this activity is also tremendously changed by how UI/UX evolved until present. So if you look at this, this is a bunch of employee doing callings and browsing through their files and searching through the folders. So if you can guess what this is a scene of a customer support. So back then, every customer record is being documented in physical papers and folders and keep in drawers. And one employee that they need to search and browse through all the folders in the drawer, and another one do the calling and communicating with the other customer on the other hand. And today, we don't need that much employee to do all those work. You only need one person to do everything by themselves with the latest advanced user interface that evolve in the customer service industry. So there are plenty of others as well where you can document, where you can trace, you can measure, you can keep track, and you can document every customer service journey in a single user interface, right? So based on this study by Fujitsu, there's 87% of all the business leaders in 9 countries already started digital transformation. So how do you start to digitalize your business? Well, one thing is the most easiest, the first thing that you need to do is to create a website. So if you start to digitalize your business, a website is a good start, and also a website is a cyber presence of your business. So nowadays, everyone into online, into the cyber presence, into social media. So you gotta have one website and or at least a web page for your business to introduce what are the business about, what you're offering to your customer, and what is your company all about. So we take a sample, take a look at a few website samples here. So I'm going to go through very quickly of what are the best practice, what not need to do, and what you should have. So in this website, as you can see, is quite plain. And the first thing you notice is the 200 ringgit Raya sale. So the first thing you will also think that what is this about? Is this a 200 ringgit discount, or is it a 200 ringgit product price? So you don't know until you read the small text at the other side. Then you only realize it's a 200 ringgit extra rebate. So this is quite a bad content and information placement, and also probably a wrong choice of using the image, because this website apparently are selling lights and lamps. So the promo banner could be much more prominent, could be more catchy if it's put in a full view banner at the bottom of the navigation. And also the difference of the content hierarchy could also be better if it arranged in a different purposes. So how does you feel about this website? All right. So it doesn't feel good for your customer, therefore your customer will be quickly to drop off. And the next one is the same industry where this company selling lights and outdoors equipment. They have a very nice image at the background, but then again, it's quite busy, and it's also distract how the user will read the information on your website. And secondly, this subscription bar is quite distracting because it's like a big chunk of blue box at the corner there. So you want to come here and search for products and search for contacts and ask for inquiries, but all of a sudden you got distracted by this blue box appear out of nowhere. And there's also a little bit of all these social media icons on the top, which kind of like clutter the whole interface area. So what could be done is probably the primary button can be more prominent and less distractions of other second priority purposes for your business. So if you want your user to come in and search for products, then you have to offer what they want to do. So this kind of website is, there's still room to improve, but it's not the best overall. This website looks quite elegant. It's minimal, it's less distraction and everything put in the right place. But however, there's this toolbox where it's hidden below the first view. So it is not that great if you have plenty more offering for your customer. So probably this toolbox hidden that could put up into the first fold that, and you can enhance more of the greater, better user impressions. So this website is quite okay, but when you click on the first banner, which is a new arrival, so this is what it happened. So yeah, the website loading quite take a long time. Is probably not because of the internet connection, but something is taking up a lot of time loading at the back. So this is not a good user experience at all. And let's take a look at this. This is one of those top websites, top company websites in Malaysia. And this is a contact form. So I want to ask inquiry of this company. So I couldn't find what I looked for. And I go straight to the footer and click contact us. And I landed in this page. So when I click contact us, I don't expect something like this. I expect probably there's a form for me to fill out my details and my questions. But instead, what I read here is a customer feedback. So I kind of confused a moment right there. And when I scroll down, the form, it tends to quite long and a lot of information that I need to fill up. But then again, this form, half of those information that is not compulsory. So I kind of stunned that whether should I fill in my information or not. And then there's another button at the corner there which says feedback. So when I click, it turns out to be a website feedback. So here got me more confused where they're repeatedly using the word feedback and at its wrong purposes. So it's kind of exhausting. And I still couldn't find what I look like until I noticed there's text here saying that ask me. So probably something that I need to ask you a question. So I click on it and it brings me to this page, but still it doesn't give me what I want. I want to ask a question. I want to send an inquiry. I'm expecting a form, a contact form or something. So I still browsing on the web page and look through and finally got something that I want, but it's not there yet. I still need to continue click here and there and God knows how many layers are there. So eventually I just give up. And another one, the last one, this is a good contact form where it's obviously saying that contact and it has all the field that require me to key in my information. However, when I move my mouse around and then this happened, so the chat bot automatically take over the screen and comes up all those bubbles and asks me if I need any assistance. So I do not know what kind of assistance that you offer. And then I realized that at the corner, there's a WhatsApp icon. So I'm not sure what's a WhatsApp icon for. There's a contact form and there's a chatbot and there's a WhatsApp icon. And then I realized there's a phone number there as well. And there's a call to action at the top of the page that asking me to book a consultation appointment. So at this point, I do not know if I need to continue to fill up the form or I go to a different support channel or contact channel or not. So this is very confusing. So what could be the best practice is that when you want the user to send you an inquiry, send you a contact you guys, you need to repurpose of all your communication channel. Like what are your Facebook channel for, what are the contact form for, what are your phone, the purpose of your putting in your company phone number there. And if you would like to use a form, just to make sure that the user can have the ability to choose what are their purpose of contacting you for, whether it's for general inquiries, whether it's for marketing purposes, whether it's for business partnership, or even for a very simple asking inquiry about certain products. But if you don't want the user to bug you over all these questions, you can compile a list of general questions and put it into a page called FAQ, a frequent answered question. So by then, the user can self-serve what they need to find out from your business and from your product as well. Right. So from here, I would like to provide two main takeaway, which is less is more. So on your website, whenever you create something, try not to bombard the web page with a lot of information. The first thing what you want user land on your web page, what you want them to do is to put them more prominent. Like if you want the user come and search for a product, then the search bar is need to be more prominent. If you want them to learn about your product, then you need to guide them how you're gonna explain your product. You need to tell a story. And the next takeaway is not all problems are interface problem. So in my experience, most of the time stakeholders will request a lot of design changes, a lot of interface changes, a lot of additional new feature and new this, new that, make this bigger, make this blue color. So it's not every problem is interface problem. So as a business owner, as a designer, or even as a product manager, you need to have a look, the bigger picture, where are the problem come from, where are the source of the problem and how to solve it. And most of the time, the solution is not always on the design itself. It might be your customer service quality, it might be your product performance, it might be something to do with your back-end system, your infrastructure, or even your product. If you're selling a physical product, maybe something to do with your product quality, or even the whole entire end-to-end experience where the user contact you, book a product, and deliver the product, the logistic, and the post-sales service. So that's all about it. And if you have any questions, or if you have any comments, you can shoot me right away. Thank you for your time.
All right, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yeah, now can.
Okay, cool. All right, so we have some questions here. The first one is from Ziliang. Now Ziliang is asking, what is UX?
Oh, UX means user experience. So the term is basically is emotion. Is an experience that caused by your product or your business or your services. So example, if your product is having a lot of damage, having a lot of flaw, then it will cause your user not feeling happy using your product. So that is not good for your business. But if you have a good product that giving a lot of value to your users, that helping and benefit your users, then your user will feel delight. Your user will stay loyal to your brand, to your business. So all that is UX. All that is user experience.
Right. And this one comes from Dan. Now, Dan is asking, how do we know which font type we should use to send out different intentions? Where do you get inspirations or ideas when you create website UX for your clients?
Okay, so the first one regarding the font type, let me give you a tips. the best font to use is the top 10 font from Google Font. You should not overthink about the font. You should not spend a lot of effort or time in the font, because the font, unless you are like really want to make your brands super special and unique, then you should create your own font. But other than that, if you're just setting up, you just start your business, you just start your website, just use any of those top 10 fonts from Google Fonts. So for the next,
now, Johnny, just to stop you right there, just for those 10 fonts, do you have any examples of those fonts for our audience here?
Yeah, so the common font,
Yeah.
common font that I usually use is called Roboto. Second one is Open Sans, and third one, you can use it as a complementary font to the primary font that you use. Let's say if your primary font is Open Sans, then your secondary font can be Times or can be Montserrat. Yeah. So these are the few couple of fonts that I frequently use. Okay. So for the second questions, where do I get inspiration? I subscribe to this sort of like a collection of inspiration and news articles. It's called, if I pronounce this correctly, it's called Muzli. It's M-U-Z-L-I, is by InVision. So I subscribe to this plugin and attach plug into my Google Chrome, and every day I have a new inspiration about tech news articles, new illustration from Dribble, news portfolio from Behance, and everything about design, everything about tech, everything about startup, and also partially something about business and economy as well.
All right, thank you. Our next question is from Lenny. Now Lenny is asking, hi Johnny, do you have any tips or guides on asking the right questions for user research?
Yeah, when you do user research, you need to identify what are the objectives that you want to achieve. So your questions should be aligned with the objective, and try to ask the question until you get the answer that you want from the user based on the objective that you already set. So there's not really a right or wrong, because you are talking to a human, you're talking to someone, so as part of your user research. So regardless, whatever questions that you ask, whatever answers that the user gives, there's no right or wrong, and there's always bring it everything onto the table and identify what are the answers that is aligned with your business, what are the answers that are speak the same objective throughout your business goals and your design goals.
I think like a big part of it is actually trial and error. Am I right?
Yeah, correct. That's true. So user research doesn't necessarily you will get it 100% at the first time. So there will be you will be keep working on the design. You will be keep improving on throughout the whole design process. So the user research can be done after each amendments of your design, after each amendments of your business goal, your business objective.
Okay, thank you. Our next one is from Ans Raz. Now, Ans would like to know, can you suggest WordPress plugins for search box that instantly shows drop-down list of articles related to user search?
For this one, I have not much experience working with WordPress plugin, but I guess someone from WordPress expert can give you this answer.
That's okay. We'll probably get someone to reply you then if possible. But thank you for your question. Now, this one is from Kenny Lim. Now, Kenny is asking, can you recommend some good web pages, for example, for references?
Okay, for this is quite a generic questions. It depends on what business nature that you are into. So let's say if you're talking about e-commerce, if you know like Lazada or Alibaba, so all of those e-commerce websites, they tend to have a lot of things to offer, a lot of information, a lot of stuff going on the homepage. But if you're talking about portfolios, they tend to be very cool with animations and effects and minimalism, and they tend to design in a way to tell a greater story of their work. So for this one, probably you can look into, let's say, some of those best that I always get inspired from is from InVision. So InVision themselves put together everything in one website where you can find a lot of inspiration. They have blogs. Their product page is a very good example of how they explain about their product and each of the product features, and also about their pricing page and also their contact page as well. So everything in that website is a very good example of and the best use of the design principles.
Okay, very nice. And then our next question is, we had a little bit about a debate about this yesterday with one of our speakers. Now, Lai Heng is asking, is a single page website considered good?
Well, it depends. There are period of time where one pager is a trend, and then that trend is still going on currently. So if you have a lot of things offer from your business, from your web page, I would say best to put it in different page. So when you design a website, when you're setting up a website, you have to consider how heavy your content is. So if your content that is so heavy that all stack up in one page, would it be too much to digest by a user, or do you want to layer it over in different pages or different tabs? So if you only showcase one product with a minimal feature, then I would say a single page website is sufficient enough, where the first four, you just have a single headline to tell what your product is all about. And then the body will be the explanation of your product features. And the bottom part probably about send your inquiries, key in your email for interest, or contact us for further partnership, and then the footer. So yeah.
Okay, we still have time for a lot more questions. Keep those questions coming. This one is from Mahindran. Mahindran, you're very active today. I like that. Keep that pace going. And Mahindran is saying, hi, Johnny. For a design website prototype, which software would you recommend within Adobe or Adobe Photoshop?
This is definitely Adobe XD. It's because before prototype and wireframe is trending in web design, mainly designers using Photoshop and Illustrator to create web page and product interface. But then when the UIUX is getting broader and broader, there tends to be a new tools to create wireframes and create interface design tools starting to emerge. There's a whole new design tools out there every year, and they're getting better and better and better, and eventually every tools will look the same, will feel the same, will giving the same outcome. So I would say between Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop and Adobe XD, Adobe XD you should use to create website prototype, and also any interface prototype.
Okay. Our next attendee is actually asking whether you have any tips on color contrast for their website.
First, I need to see your website first. For color contrast, different color will affect different emotions and feelings. But then again, it also 50% of it. So another 50% would be what would your business and your identity look like. So for instance, if your business and your brand identity is in blue color, then I think the blue color should be the primary color of your website. Like you use your blue color on primary buttons, you use your blue color on link text, and you use your blue color to have a certain enhancement or certain to make something outstanding from your website. So try not to use uh, clashing colors. Like example, don't use blue and then there's a red. So you
Okay.
need to use a color that is complement your primary color. Let's say
Mm-hmm.
if blue is your primary color, then your complementary color should be a different tone of blue, okay, to align with your brand identity. So the contra color that you need to use in your website should be the most minimal. So in my practice, I use the ratio of 60, 30, 10. So
Mm.
60% would be used for your primary color, like your primary buttons, your logos, maybe the main headlines, and then 30% would be the secondary one where you provide a secondary actions, your secondary or your second priority content or your second hierarchy content in your web page. And the last one will be probably the most minimal usage of that contra color. Let's say if your primary color is blue, then your contra color is red. So use as minimal as possible on the red color. Maybe like let's say if in your product page you have you want user to report something wrong with your page, then you have that you apply that red color onto your fine text like report to us or having any problem, that kind of usage of the contract color.
Now, I think just to add on to what you said as well, now I've actually done some Googling about this. I think maybe to help the person who put in this question, I believe you can Google the color wheel to find the contrasting colors and the complementary colors as well. And I think it depends on your business as well. For example, if you're doing something related to sports, you probably want to use color that along the lines that is strong, maybe red, because it invokes a sense of athleticism, power, strength, colors which are blue, for example, it shows brand loyalty. These are the kind of things that you can actually Google, and they're made available on the website. So all you have to do is just type it out, and
Yeah,
you have all these at your fingertips, basically.
yeah,
So
correct.
yeah, do you have anything else to add on to the color contrast and tips and tricks? Anything else
Uh,
before we move on?
um, yeah, if you search online for, let's say, color palette or
Mm.
color scheme or color generator, there's tons of tools out there that can help with your color selections. So it's today, if you are just being a new designer yourself, you can practically be a designer in a few months' time by, search a lot of assistive tools online where it can help you in selecting your choice of colors, your choice of fonts, or even whether your image selections as well.
All right, super. Our next question is from Danny. Now, Danny is asking, what tools must a UI/UX designer be familiar with nowadays?
First thing first is interface design tools, where just now mentioned, one of it is the Adobe XD. Um, secondly will be Sketch. Now currently I'm using Figma, and there's also plenty of others that you can use to design prototype wireframes and also coding at the same time. So one of those are called Webflow and also UX Pin. And there's also Principle. There's also, um, let's say, Vectornator. So there are tons of all these are design tools that you can learn. So if you're already familiar with Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, then to transition or to adapt yourself with all these new wireframe and prototype tools is very easy, because the tool feature practically the same as Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator. So it's the same thing that you're creating vectors, same thing that you're creating box, apply font, apply color. And the only thing that is new to you is to learn how to create prototypes where you link different visual, different screens, creating a different animation. How does it pop up? When does it pop up? And also maybe a little more advanced where you create the high fidelity animation, like example, when picture showed up, how the button from red turned to blue, and when is the screen slide in and slide out. All those are more advanced effects and animations.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question. Yeah, we can just squeeze in one more. Now, this one is pretty interesting. So this one is from Donna. Now, Donna's question is, designing an interface that's attractive as well as functional is worth the resources, but sometimes people tend to believe that things that look better will work better, even if they aren't actually more efficient or effective. Now, how do you tolerate that mindset?
Yeah, I kind of met this kind of situation before. So to argue this, there's a few things that a designer that needs to take note of. First of all, you need to know what are the objectives, what are the business, what are the task goals that you are trying to accomplish here. Is it something that need to be visually better, or is it something that need to be functionally better? You need to identify any of these. And secondly, does it involve or does it affect something about marketing? Because let's just say the choice of words, the type of message, the business selling points that need to be in the interface to be part of your design, or even it is something that you get insights from data from your analytics that might cause user drop off, that might cause a user not interacting with your certain functions and your certain design. So that is one thing regarding the technicality. Another thing is that as a designer, you always when it depends on case to case. So you gotta be agree to disagree. So there are times that you keep arguing with your stakeholders or even your co-workers about something that you want it to be this way, but they want it to be that way. So you just kind of like agree to disagree, where you let them perform what they want to do, let them do what they want to do, and then when it's been rolled out, then let's just see how it performs. That you need to put tracking, that you need to measure how effective the other person's ideas or proposition is. Then we can take the data into further discussion about it. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Johnny, we're going to have to wrap things up because your slot is already done and we have to invite our next speaker. But thank you so much for joining us. I think you did a phenomenal job today. For the rest of the attendees, let's give him a virtual round of applause. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of WebFest 2020. And I just realized that your virtual background is actually the meme of the dog that goes like, "This is fine." That's right. Am I right?
Yeah, I think so, but there's no dog.
Yeah, there's no dog. So this is Johnny
I'm
telling you everything is fine, even in the face of a global pandemic. It is all going to be okay. But thank you so much for joining us today, and feel free to stay on for our last session for today. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Exabytes. Grow your business online.